Welcome back, Estelden here. Raid Shadow Legends. The game so desperate for you to love it that it's managed to shove itself down everyone's throats. The game that proves you can buy friends. All those lovely sponsors who no doubt are still playing the game to this day. Raid Shadow Legends deserves a mention because it represents everything wrong with what is happening to the video games medium. An industry that was once on the brink of unbelievable, limitless creativity seems to have gone into hibernation. Well, at least it feels that way, because when I come onto YouTube or I go onto a gaming website, I'm greeted with Raid. And if I was a kid getting into gaming for the first time, the aggressive, unrelenting advertising would have me believe that this is the next big thing. This is the big classic that we've been waiting for. Now, I'm not going to pretend that Raid was made for me, but I personally just don't care. This is a game that I see that's praised for its graphics, criticised though for its unrelenting monetization. This is the priority level that worries me when it comes to games now. The priority is, let's make it look good so kids get excited. And then let's pull the rug out, so once they get hooked, they go running for mum's credit card. This is not about it simply not being for me, this is a scam. Microtransactions, especially when they're done this blatantly, are almost always done nowadays in such a way that the entire game is built around them. There is no one in Plarium, or whatever it is games, the developer's office, who sat down one day and said to himself, I have a vision. An incredible dark fantasy setting, an incredible game that the kids are going to love, and to top it off, let's give them what they want. The loot boxes, the gambling, all you can eat. If that was the case, then this could easily be fixed. But the fact of the matter is, this is a design by committee sort of game. This is the sort of title people who are running get-rich-quick schemes conjure up. They sit around in suits and ties, they look at what's popular, and they look at what they can copy in every single aspect. What's popular in terms of art? What words are going to engage people? What addiction cycle can we prey on this time? What can we get away with? Then there's a bunch of saps. Now, I shouldn't call them saps. These are likely people that are passionate about gaming, who fall in with the wrong studio, and get stuck making Raid. While they look out over the grand beyond, thinking about the great games they wish they were making, like Ori and the Blind Forest, Hollow Knight, real games. I mean, just look at the name of the game. Raid Shadow Legends. I mean, what does that even mean? I don't think I've ever seen a video game name that looks more like it was thrown into some online blender, name my game generator, because I have no doubt that this game name has popped up in one of those at least at some point. Maybe not now because it's all trademarked, but you know. But just look at this game. Everything about it is so generic. I don't know if it's just a mobile phone thing, I mean maybe it is, the graphics seem to get praised, but you just take a look at it, there's nothing more generic. There's no art style here. I even saw some people, I don't know if they were being sponsored or what, but they tried to say the graphics are like Dark Souls. Are you kidding me? That's a game that has some incredible backdrops, enemy design, there is so much going on. This just looks like the games I used to get advertised to me that were ripping off World of Warcraft in 2008. Gaming's not come very far in 10 years apparently. It's doing the same stuff, just with some good old loot boxes thrown in for some good hearty fun. Also, there's something about the font that's a real eyesore. Is there only one font for mobile or something? Because I remember I once downloaded a Chrono Trigger port for mobile. I thought, yeah, I'll check it out. Given all the resources and money that come from mobile, it must be pretty good, right? Well, no, because the immersion was gone because of this stupid font. I mean, go and look at the font for Chrono Trigger, because if you compare it to Shadow Legends, it is exactly the same. Any mobile game I look at, there's just one font allowed apparently. Then you look at the name of these spells and the creativity that's just brewing. Rain of Arrows, Hellraiser, Sharp Eye. This is just brilliant. But seriously, I'm not actually having a go at this game because it's terrible or it's the worst game of all time. It's probably not. I mean, as bad as these committee games are, they are designed to be engaging to some degree, to get the kiddies talking about it and bragging to their friends, telling them that they got the latest skin and someone else in the group doesn't have it. My problem is with the direction games are going and how kids are being brought up with these games now. Now, I'm going to sound like some rose-tinted, back-in-my-day type, but when your friends used to show you their PS1 back in the day, it wasn't about their possessions, what they'd got in the game. They'd show you Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Final Fantasy on their TV, and you were immersed in this awesome-looking game you wanted to get as well. That was the best advertising there was, and gaming used to get this every single day. Word of mouth. All those PS1s, N64s, PC games that used to go under the Christmas tree, most of them got there because some other kid showed your son or your daughter. Things have now changed. No one is showing your friend Raid Shadow Legends and getting them excited. They're showing them the items they brought with real money. That credit card purchase box that dropped something rare. the fear of missing out kicks in. There's that need for being included, and all of a sudden it has a ripple effect, and suddenly a whole city of parents are scratching their heads as to what this Shadow Legends nonsense is on their credit card statements. If this is the path kids are being led down when entering the video game space, then where is the fun side? A lot of these kids only play Fortnite. They only play these one-trick pony treadmill games. None of them are designed around the concept of fun, passion, only milking people. I'm not out to have a go at anyone who has taken money to promote Raid Shadow Legends, because at the end of the day, one person promoting the game for some much needed cash is fair enough. The problem is the collective. So many people do this that it creates a bit of a false narrative online, where if you Google it, you search it on YouTube, everyone's talking about what an amazing game it is, how creative it is, how fun it is. At least to a lot of people, that's just not true. It's all just being done to hide the treadmill, where you enter a tunnel that is this game and you're slowly led through a corporation's perfectly designed maze that ends with you at the checkout screen. That's all this is. That is the only aim of this game and the studio's only ambition. How can this be working though? Is this not like the Emperor's New Clothes? Do kids sit around playing this sort of game until finally someone speaks up and says, what are we doing here? Even outside is better than this. Maybe that happens, but the fact is the studios are far more sneaky than that. In simple terms, there's basically the type of game that is built around fun and a type of game built around addiction. Now the fun game is usually harder to get into, and that there's not just a simple gameplay loop that will hook you in. Sometimes the things people like about such a game are the characters, narrative, an interesting battle system you need to get your head around, interesting gameplay that requires some learning, some reading. Then there's the other side of gaming, the dark side, and the type that takes you in with its claws and has you doing the same thing over and over to get those dopamine hits going. You look at Fortnite, PUBG, and I'll admit it myself, there's a very unique and special feeling about being one of the last players alive with the victory so close, and everyone's motive for playing thereafter is getting that feeling back again, getting that adrenaline pumping. This sort of stuff has seeped into single-player gaming as well. You look at the Far Cry games now, and there is so much nonsense scattered around the map for the sole purpose of getting you into that similar sort of gameplay loop. That's fairly ridiculous. It's no longer about finishing missions in unique ways, having fun with it. No. That would put too much in the hands of the player. It doesn't give the studios enough control. You look at Far Cry now and it's clear the outpost, climb the tower, collect the letter, clear the outpost, win a race, clear the outpost, and you get where this is going. It's just a series of repetitive activities that they've done testing on to find that it gets people addicted to the cycle. And that gets them buying the next installment as well, and this cycle just repeats over and over. It's not until recently that Ubisoft hit a dead end. This wasn't working anymore, and one of the reasons for it is their primary audience isn't little kids who are more likely to get sucked into these things. They were trying the same trick on grown adults, many of which experienced gaming before these trends kicked in, and they just weren't having it. I can tell you in that moment, Ubisoft were kicking themselves at their audience of those pesky adults. Why can't they be gullible kids? I mean, you look at YouTube and it's the same. You hear about the adpocalypse from years ago, and it's all about advertising wanting to advertise to those younger audiences. They're the ones who are likely to get sucked in, be influenced, and spend the rest of their life conditioned to all of this being normal. That this is what gaming really is. Publishers would love nothing more than for all of us adults to die out and get the coronavirus. Shouldn't say that, that's in poor taste, I won't mention that again. All they want is kids in a bubble to consume, obey, and get on that treadmill. Because once you're playing Raid Shadow Legends and you're hooked, all your friends are playing it too. It's cool to play because that guy you watch on Twitch TV said so. So there's just no getting off this game now. There's your daily login activities. These things to keep you invested, these things to get you spending money. That's the bread and butter of it. The sad thing is, I believe if you put a game like Conker's Bad Fur Day in front of today's Fortnite kids, it wouldn't get much of a response. Now I don't mean the actual N64 version, let's pretend it's some spiced up remake, but it's still amazing. No, not Live and Reloaded or whatever that Microsoft one was that actively censored it. I meant just a good actual remake. Kids are just not used to games where a bit of patience is needed, something you work through and you just enjoy. There's not enough dopamine hits for them and it's just not going to appeal to them anymore. On the other side though, before this gets to be all doom and gloom, I do think there's probably a lot of kids who'd really enjoy gaming as a hobby if they knew what was on offer, what infinite possibilities there were in this space. I think if you put something like Disco Elysium in front of kids who enjoy literature, kids who enjoy solving problems, they would absolutely love it. Let's say you put Celeste in front of someone who enjoys deep movies, they like to think while having fun. I think you'd find a new customer. There's a lot of opportunities for gaming to reach all different types of people. But the problem is they're not the games being shoved in front of people's faces. To a lot of people, games have literally become what our mums were saying 15 years ago. They're just brain damaging garbage that rot our brain. Yeah, a lot of these games do that. It's just ironic it was not the ones that they were actually referring to years and years ago. And what's even worse is the Fortnites and the Raids are far more mainstream accepted than something like the evil, the life-destroying Banjo-Kazooie was all those years ago. It was Ninja who really summed things up for me recently. He said that saying something is just a game is a weak mindset. Well, the trouble is, in so many games these days, there's pay-to-win mechanics. So if Ninja is telling us if we're losing at the game, is he saying that we should not be okay with that? It's now time to head to the cash store and drown our sorrows by paying for a win? Gaming actually has the potential to be fun, to be an art form. Not everything needs to be an esport designed around banging your head against the wall if you're losing. I love multiplayer too. I love World of Warcraft, and I even love the older Call of Duties before they became reskins of each other. But the fact kids are going to be influenced to think every single game is all about getting angry when you lose, will lose an entire generation's worth of players who won't get to experience fun and interesting titles that require more than just reflexes and throwing yourself in time and time again. I think smaller studios have a chance to jump on this opening that Ubisoft is giving gaming, to put themselves in front of kids and adults alike and to show them that good games are still being made. Creative ones with so much to offer and present to the people. To present creative, interesting titles that show young people that there is another way. An era of games that doesn't rely on advertising dollars, big budgets, but can instead rely on word of mouth and quality art. Raid Shadow Legends is at the very center of the problems that have led us here. It's caught in the middle because it combines the brainwashing, the addiction treadmill, the generic committee spreadsheets into one big pot. It's a title that sees games like Sekiro as being pesky nuisances that might give kids the wrong idea and expose the utter fakeness of its own making. Maybe once the well dries up, and there's no more marketing, the game will actually be exposed for what it really is. Thanks again guys, and I'll see you again.